Back about 2010, 11, 12, 13, sometime around that time. Me and my friends, we just went to the grocery store and we was bringing groceries into his house, and literally right as we finished and brought in the last bag and we came back out to make sure we didn't leave anything else. We was crossing back over the street to go back into his house, and a cop car came, stopped right in front of us with their lights on. Cops hopped out of the car. Me, two of my other friends there, and he hops out. He puts his hand on his gun while it's in the holster, kind of slightly takes it out of the holster, but don't take it out all of the way. Points to me, which I have a cap on, a basketball cap. It is important for me to know which one it was. It was Chicago Bulls hat. Chicago Bulls hat on, turned backwards. He has his hand on his gun, points to me, and says, "You, turn your hat around." Me knowing that I did nothing wrong, I have my hands up and I'm just like, okay. I turn my hat around. He sees the Chicago Bull hat. He's still holding on to his gun and looking. And then he stops and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry." He said he was looking for three unusual suspects, and y'all fit the description. They said one of them had Miami's Bulls hat. I'm sorry. I had a Chicago Bull hat. One of them had the Miami Heat hat. And that's what they was looking for. So he told us that. Said, "Y'all go on with your day. Y'all have a nice one." And drove off. And at the time, we laughed about it. And he's like, "Oh, like what if I had a gun in my sock, blah, 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 blah." Like, made a joke out of it at the time. But the older and older I got, and the more that I remember that story, that wasn't a joke, because that could have been just one thing slightly different could have happened. Because the biggest thing is that I had a Miami Heat hat. Miami Heat was my favorite team at the time when I used to watch basketball, and I had that hat. So how would that story play out if I had that hat on that day? Would I still be here? Would my friends still be here? Would I be in jail? Worse? Who knows? It's crazy to think about. And I'm a black man. Anytime I see the police, anytime I'm driving and the cop car is behind me, it's crazy that they're our protectors. But the one thing that I can only think about is, I hope I don't die today. How many people think that whenever they see the cops? Not even to the point where most people might think the extreme of, "Oh, I hope I don't get arrested today." I have to think, I hope I don't die today. That's the life that I live in this first world country of me should be having freedom, happiness, and the opportunity to have anything in my life. And I have to think, I hope the people that's supposed to be protecting us, the people that's job is to protect us, doesn't kill me. People constantly saying all lives matter, all lives matter. But how can all lives matter until the black lives do? Doesn't make sense. Like, we're still in a position of not mattering. And a lot of people saying we feel like we don't matter. It's not even that we don't. It's not even that we feel like we don't matter. It is presented to us. It is right in front of us. We have so much evidence showing that we don't matter because I was born with this skin tone. And where did we come from? We used to be slaves. And it took a whole war for people to fight to know that we are human beings. And even after that war, we still were slaves. And it took money. They signed a piece of paper that took money for us to not be slaves. So we went from being slaves to becoming a product. And people still look at it as a product because right now they're painting the narrative that people are outside right now destroying cars, destroying buildings, and destroying other things that can be replaced is more important than a black person's life. The narrative that there are people outside protesting right now. There are hundreds and hundreds of people in this country, not even in this country, in other countries protesting for us, for our lives. That's not as important as the carnage that's going on. That's not as important as buildings being looted and destroyed and cars being stolen and destroyed. Things that can be created again, things that can be replaced. That story is more important in our lives. That is the narrative that we're painting right now. And you're painting us as dangerous, destructive. This is not justice. But yet you're not looking at the full picture. You're not looking at the people who are actually protesting. There are hundreds and hundreds of protesters that's actually going on right now. And the media only wants to portray and show the 5, 6, 7 that has the riots. And then you take the parts that has the riots and say, look, this is what they're doing. This is what they're defined as. They're dangerous. Because the 8 protesters turned dangerous and turned into riots, while there's hundreds of other ones going on across the whole world right now. And that's the part that y'all want to see. But y'all don't want to see people trying to fight for justice. Y'all don't want to see the peace part. Y'all don't want to see that people are upset. And constantly. And this isn't just this year. We've been dealing with this for so long. And if you want to put it on a mainstream level, we've been dealing with this since Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Sandra Bland, Michael Brown, Freddie Gray, Philando Castile. Like, how many times do we have to go through this? How many times do we have to say that we are people, we are human beings, our lives should matter? And it just constantly gets taken away from us. They don't care about us. They don't care about us. Michael Jackson said that back in the 90s. In 2020. So maybe one day we might get to say all lives matter with you. But for now, we're going to worry about the black ones that do.